sake. There we go. Sake. It's better. Right, let's set up right. Yo guys, just waiting on Saiyan to get into the call. He said he's ready to start soon. I mean, that's a quite interesting word, copacetic. Copacetic. You heard of that word before?
Copacetic.
Yeah, it means like everything working well, everything's in order. Everything was copacetic between them.
Yeah, like yeah, like relationship games, concept.
Copacetic, yeah. Very good or going very well. Need to clean that, Musa. Definitely need to clean that. Hmm? Brushes? I've only got one. I mean, maybe it is here somewhere, but I can't even see one. Might have fallen down somewhere? Under something? Might be under the sofa cushions or something, or between the sofa cushions, or under the sofa. Even just use the screwdriver to scrape off the grill. Should sufficient, huh? After every session. You know what I'm saying?
Yo. Yo.
How you doing, man? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm just watching Hawk play.
Oh, yeah.
He's pretty good, man. I'm learning.
Yeah, Hawk's good. Especially when he's on his A game.
Ooh. So, when you do like a Hydra bus that's not working, you still have to continue to produce Hydras. Just some of your hatches produce drones.
Sorry?
I'm just saying, when you do a Hydra bust and it's not like you're not intending to win the game with it, you still have to produce Hydras. You can't just fully switch into drones. Seems like Hawk, he just builds he keeps it going. He doesn't just stop building Hydras altogether. And my god, he builds a lot of hatcheries too. Holy shit.
Yeah, he understands the power of late game Zerg production. Everything he does is geared around setting up really powerful late game Zerg production.
Yeah, this is nuts. Alright, we were about halfway through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me open it up.
Let's get cracking them.
Alright.
Get set real quick. Okay, looks alright. Right, so refresh me what happened in the last game. Was it Jadong getting knocked out last game?
Yeah, Jadong versus Snow.
On Silphid, was it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, I thought so. I just wanted to double make sure that's where we were at. Yeah, okay.
Was the Zealots kept sniping hatcheries?
Yeah, playing whack-a-mole with the bases. And then, just basically eventually overwhelmed him. I feel like Jadon could have won that.
I don't think there's anything like really, you know, fantastical or like, you know, giant storm drops or anything like that. It was just a slow like beat down.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's like a UFC match where the guy just keeps kicking the other guy in the leg.
You're chopping him down.
Yeah, and he just eventually falls over.
Yeah, just chopping his legs out from under him.
Yeah.
Technical win.
That's right. Okay, are you ready?
Yep.
Back up a little. Alright. Sound test.
Test 1 2 1 2.
Okay. Just double check that. Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
All right, we are back. Royal versus Snow is your next match here on Polypoid. Got Royal in the top left, Snow in the bottom right, and Snow. What's the plan here, my friend? Gateway out in the front. And then maybe have some Zealot pressure here this game, but it's a long rush distance.
Yeah, it's cross map, so it's going to be really hard to put too much pressure on Royal, and probably would not be getting this gas deal either. It would be nice if, say, Royal was in the bottom left and he can get this like gas deal for free. But even now, he hasn't sent his probe out probably nearly early enough to get that, I think. So actually, yeah, wouldn't even be able to get the gas deal anyway. So it looks like Snow not going to be taking a gamble and getting a potential gas deal either way. So it's kind of going to be lining up nicely for him, not having to take any kind of economic damage early on by setting out the probe too early. It's going to be at least good for him in that sense. But I think Snow's best plan of action here would probably be to play something quite standard initially, like maybe like a 2-gate Robo into 3-gate maybe. I don't think you want to do something too crazy against Royal here.
And Royal, how's he going to play on this map in cross map position? I mean, he's going to be happy when he sees that there's no Nexus first at least, but how do you think he wants to play this out against Snow?
With it being cross map and no Nexus first, I think he's going to be quite comfortable in this game. I don't think he has to do anything too special here. I think Royal will just play his straight up A game, maybe getting a fairly fast second armory and relatively quick command center for the third. I don't think necessarily he'll feel any pressure to do anything, especially against Snow on this map and these positions.
One thing I want to bring up about the recent metagame between Protoss and Terran is that Terrans have been going for a lot of Cloak Wraith, or just 3 to 4 Wraith play to shut down the popular shuttle style, and it's more popular with Snow than with anyone else. He invests in Reavers early and continues to produce them throughout the game, so we'll see if Royal has caught on to that trend yet, if he's going to be going for some Wraiths, even some Cloak Wraiths to pick those off, because it can be a very powerful strategy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we see some interesting little skirmish here of the probe scout of Snow trying to chase down this SCV of Royal, doing a lot of manual pathing as well to get that SCV away from that probe. And it's very difficult to do that because if you don't manually control that SCV and control the vectors on the hex tiles, then the probe can catch up very easily with just a few manual move commands. So Royal did a really good job there of not losing that SCV to that scout probe. So it's going to be able to get that SCV all the way back to the mineral line and keep a small boon to his economy. As a result, now Vulture coming across the map to the southern side, going to be forcing these goons of Snow to stay back and not put out any pressure on the map, which will allow Royal to not have to worry about making any tank anytime soon, so he can optimize his build order further.
With these early Vultures that are popping out, we're going to see a starport coming down, so good chance we're going to have a drop after these Vultures lay mines around the map. A dropship going to be bringing them into the main base, try to get some damage here on Snow early on. Snow's going to be looking to take a third base pretty soon, and when he extends himself forward to clear out those mines and set down that nexus, that'll be the opportunity for Royal to fly in and try to get some damage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Snow's doing that 2-gate robo like I expected he would. He will have enough units to defend this drop if he has those Dragoons in position to do so. It's just going to be a matter of whether or not he does have those units in position, and whether or not he can sniff out this dropship play from Royal in the coming moments. It will be quite soon. This dropship will be popping out. We'll see a few mines being laid here at the 6 o'clock and around the middle only area, kind of setting up in advance, because eventually these Vultures might die, so wants to get all of the value out of these Vultures right away and lay down all of these mines before the dropship pops out and they go for that little skirmish into the main base, maybe getting quite a few probe kills in the process. So we'll have to wait and see, but so far it looks like Snow's staying very passive and keeping really tight into his base until just now starting to shuffle out a little bit with his observer.
Yeah, and this is that moment I was talking about. As the observer comes forward, we're going to move out and try to take a third base here as the Protoss player. That's going to be the moment of weakness when that dropship can deal the most damage. It's going to come around the bottom side here with the 4 Vultures heading towards the south side. It's actually heading in the same direction as these Dragoons. The Dragoons are actually moving way out on the map. I'm not sure, or I'm not clear exactly where they're going. I thought they'd be heading down here to the 6 o'clock to get prepared for taking this base, but they're moving way out on the map right now, and there's not a whole lot back at home. Oh, he's got some Dragoons here in the main, maybe ready to defend. Oh, here's some in the natural too. Snow just a little bit too good. Underestimate this man.
Yeah, he's got the goons in the right position, but he will lose a few probes, though, because he hasn't actually reacted too quickly to these Vultures. So he actually will lose a sizable amount of probes. About 4 or so did go down into the natural expansion, and a few in the main as well. So actually kind of worked out okay for Royal here. I would say that puts him out slightly ahead, both in the economic curve of the game and as well as the army curve of the game, because as we see right now, there is this no third base from Snow. So kind of focusing in only on army and tech, and has lost a little bit of his eco to boot. So it's kind of in a weird position. Snow needs to try and put on some pressure soon, maybe to punish Royal, so that he can kind of make up for this disparity in economy that he's going to have to deal with coming up in the next few phases of the game.
And it looks like he ate a mine there as well while pushing forward. Even though he had the observer with those 2 goons, both of them have been badly damaged. So, yeah, I love Royal's position right now. Those Vultures got all their value out. They got all the mines around the map. And he sees where any of these locations where Snow could take a 4th base. He knows that the base is coming here at the mineral only. He got the dropship out as well, so everything really working out perfectly for Royal so far this game. The 3rd base is quite late here for Snow, and Royal's going to have a great push coming up here with 4 factories finishing up. He can either try to come across this map here, or maybe he can go for his own 3rd base. Coming in with the vultures once again, sniping a couple of probes and laying down some mines around the map. Royal is in a great spot.
Yeah, Royal's in a phenomenal position. With the 4 factories is just about the right amount you want to be aggressive, so he does have the option to be aggressive if he wants to. Also throwing down another factory. Meanwhile, the Reaver coming out into the main base does take a little bit of damage. He needs to be careful. That's all the shield hit points on that thus far. Takes out one of the mines on the way out. Has another opportunity to go back into the main if he so chooses, but I do not think he will want to do that. He'll instead want to use this Reaver as a bit of a slowdown technique to try and prevent Royal from taking his 3rd base too soon. We do have the vultures now running into the natural expansion, though. No wall block from Snow uncharacteristically, so now it's going to be taking quite a sizable amount of damage into natural expansion. More and more probes going down, so Royal kind of carving out a nice little economic edge once again.
Yeah, this is starting to look very bad for Snow. He's lost so many workers here, and his Reavers didn't really do anything, which is incredibly surprising. Usually, we see at least some amount of damage from Snow's Reaver. He is still going to have that available for when the push comes out to slow that down, but not getting into the main, not dealing that damage, killing off some tanks, killing off some vultures, maybe getting a few SCVs. It's just really not looking good right now. I don't know how else to say it. Royal getting back out on the map once again, utilizing that dropship just to elevator a few vultures out here. I love it. It's a great move. He's been constantly throwing down mines and getting more and more kills. Coming into the 3rd base now, going to go ahead and snipe a ton more probes. He can almost get this full probe line here, and Snow is going to fight with the probes, but he loses at least 6 or 7 there. That's so rough.
Yeah, that's it's quite critical damage, honestly. Like, he's only just now taking his 4th base, and he needs to have a sizable count of probes to be able to transfer and mineral smooth between these bases, so he doesn't become too mined out in his main and natural, so he can keep all 4 bases online as long as possible. And now that he hasn't got a high saturation of probes, it's going to be quite awkward for him to try and smooth those out and optimize his bases going forward. So really precarious situation for Snow. He's coming forward with this shuttle and Reaver, but going to be using the shuttle maybe to these raids. Does pick off one of the raids on the way out and does save the shuttle. So great job from Snow there, not losing that shuttle. It would have been quite devastating for him to have these 2 Reavers just having to slug it out across the other side of the map and not be able to get away. Would have been probably having to lose those Reavers to the tanks in the follow-up. But now it looks like Royal finally going to be coming out, creeping out onto the map with these siege tanks, moving into this mineral-only location, which is so important for him to take away from Snow. It's going to be very hard for him to come up here and take this position away from Snow for free. So he's going to very slowly, methodically shuffle down and leapfrog these tanks one at a time. He's going to be scanning ahead of his army, making sure he doesn't lose any units for free here. It's very important that he not only gets this position, but he gets it without losing too many units.
Yeah, at the same time, dropping into the main base. Unfortunately, he's dropped into a bit of a crevasse here. Oh, a tank inside this fight. Gonna drop a mine as well, but the Dragoons will take that out without losing too many Wait a second, actually getting a couple of hits on the stack there of probes. I didn't see how many kills that tank got, but it did manage to get a few kills on those probes once again. So just constant harassment damage here from Royal. He's shoving forward now. He's going to get a 3rd base up. It's not too late here. He's threatening this shuttle as well. This is a great play from Royal. He is going to take this 3rd base and possibly a 4th here and just become a massive threat on the map. Oh my god, mine!
Oh, so close.
Ow!
I think the Reaver killed the other Scarab that saved it.
Yeah, I think the Scarab just barely saved the day there. That would have been almost a trigger for an instant push from Royal. I had both those Reavers gone down to a mine. I think he just unsieges everything and goes across the map. Probably wins the game there. So being saved by the bell. Snow definitely not paying attention to the Reavers at that moment. Just luckily they decided to fire and save themselves. So tiny bit of luck there from Snow, but he's still going to be harassed once again here down in the bottom left. Looks like the cannon finish up just barely in time here is going to be able to deny these vultures, but he can't transfer workers until he's cleared this out. And more vultures sneaking out on the map once again. Snow is sitting up on the high ground at the 12 o'clock. He's going to be able to deny that base for a little bit, but he doesn't have a whole lot of army in that location, and I think it's an inevitability here that that Royal will get that base.
Yeah, eventually that will transpire, and also eventually looks like Royal could, if he wanted to, take 9 o'clock and just push on the vertical axis and to try and isolate this rally point that will be set up in the bottom left by Snow in eventuality. So. I think this position is really favoring Royal. Right? It doesn't even matter what he does. He can expand passively and divide the map across the horizontal axis here and split it in half that way. That'd be really good for him. He could also push down the vertical axis from 9 o'clock and attack and defend at the same time. That works out well for him as well. So he's kind of got like all the options to choose from. He's currently ahead in supply by about 12 as well. So really indicative of a big lead in this game going forward. The one thing that Snow's got going from is maybe he can somehow set up these rally points in the bottom left and get a lot of Templars and shuttles and start laying siege to the economy of the Terran player and storming the mineral lines. Big mine going off there. Taking out quite a few of those vultures. Needs to be careful not to blow away too many of his units for free. Royal does have a pretty big lead right now, but he can't afford just to throw his units away like candy, so has to be a little bit careful going forward against Snow. Snow is one of the strongest PvT players, so just because you're ahead against him doesn't mean you want to be, a bit sloppy. So as long as Royal doesn't skip any beats here, I think he's got the game in the bag, but it is Snow after all, so we'll have to see who wins.
Yeah, there's still going to be this phase of the game where Templar are in shuttles dropping down storms on the advancing Terran army, and that can swing the game very, very quickly if you're not diligently pushing forward and spreading your tanks. Royal is already at 190 supply, though, with that 4th base up and running. He's going to be ready to push here shortly. I'd like to take a look at the upgrades, but I think it's probably 2-1 by now. And Royal just grouping everything together. It looks like he's ready to push out here against Snow.
Yeah, it looks like he's just going to use this as a trigger to go. He needs to be careful, though. Doesn't want to be losing this Science Festival for free. Now a big storm going to be coming in on these retreating units. Luckily for him, dodging the majority of that damage from that storm. Now going to be throwing a D-Matrix out to negate the forward frontal damage of the next one. And does kind of ward Snow away from coming in there. Needed to shuffle all of his army back to prevent Snow having any opportunity to come in and get a cost-efficient trade. But now going to be sliding out a nice big Vulture raiding party to the southwestern quadrant of the map. Laying down some mines in the wake of those Vultures as well to kind of catch some of those units coming down to intercept while shuffling around the map, trying to get some map control and pull Snow apart a little bit. Meanwhile, is going to be starting to mine out on these bases over the coming minutes, and needs to make the most he can of this period of the game where he's got like 2 to 3 minutes of 4 base worth of production where he can really start to ramp up. He's now 200. He can start to use any opportunity now to look for a line of attack to really punish Snow and force him to engage his army head on. But at the moment, he's just killing so many probes that are trying to transfer between these bases. He's completely ripped apart Snow's economy over and over again in this game. We're all kind of showing a little bit of a masterclass in a very standard TVP. Nothing too fancy, just really well executed harassment techniques and kind of showing his caliber in this game against Snow.
And there was a great opportunity there when Snow was chasing those vultures around the map. He pulled back the majority of his army, and Royal could have moved forward, but he was a little bit distracted, trying to get that damage there with the vultures. He's now moving forward, but the entirety of the army of Snow is in position now, ready to fight. So he's still got to be careful, slowly move this forward, and make sure that he doesn't clump everything up. While some factories being laid down here in front of the natural, rarely do we ever see that, but he's got such a boon of minerals and gas right now. He is just going to go ahead and throw factories out in the front of his base to try and ramp up that production further. Now spreading out slowly down southward here. He's really respecting Snow, even though he has such a lead in this game.
Yeah, this could be carrier switch as well. So, and the fleet peak is only just now finished. So basically, Royal has like 2 to 3 minutes to make this happen. But now a big surround from Snow, huge psionic storms blanketing down on top of the siege tanks. But the siege tanks are already pre-spread really nicely here. Look at this beautiful tank line set up by Royal, just really deep, big, just rows and like a corner row of siege tanks, making it almost impossible for Snow to come in there and engage. Now going to be unsieging and moving to the middle of the map as well, and then going up for the big siege as well, forcing out some more psionic storms from Snow, as Snow desperately tries to prevent this army and keep it at bay. He has a couple of minutes before the carriers even become relevant again. Some high templates in the front now being slapped down by these vultures as well, as more psionic storms take out more and more of these Terran siege tanks. The psionic storms do basically true damage, so the Terran armor doesn't really matter. So they're going to be doing 110 damage over 2.5 seconds to those Terran units, regardless of how many armor upgrades they've got. They've got basically 3-2 upgrades now, I believe, to 2 attack upgrades of Snow. So really heavily upgraded units, but the Psionic Storm is still going to rip through them regardless of that. That's why Storm is so good against Terran. So Royal does need to be careful rolling his tanks forward, because he will take a lot of damage quickly if he's not careful enough. Make sure you don't use your army that way, because one of the big mistakes players make in these matchups is they can build up these big 200 armies like we see here, but they can lose that army just as quickly as they built it to just a few Storm, as we see here. Some of the vultures getting blanketed by that Storm. Big Storm coming down on these rows of tanks up against this cliff edge. High Templars on the cliff is one of the best cost-efficient ways to deal with these kinds of big Terran contains. So Snow doing all that he can with the what few units he has got in these small pockets around the map, and doing a great job of slowing down Royal. Royal feeling very confident now, going to be coming down into this bottom left quadrant of the map to get on top of these carries before they can get into a sufficient amount.
There's the Reavers coming out for that defense. He is going to lose the shuttle here, and probably the Reavers as well now. Just a little bit of miscontrol there, not pulling back that shuttle. He ends up losing both the Reavers. Still got Storms to throw down here. Not producing carriers, by the way, I want to mention. Just trying to hold this push as best he can. The carrier switch can come later. Assuming that he's able to reduce this tank number and kill this army here of Royal as it's coming forward. Another base going up in the top right as well. So Snow looking to the future here and securing his economy. But Royal doing the same, snagging the base on the center left as this army goes down. Snow going to save the base in the bottom left. This is looking better and better for Snow, actually, as he gets more and more great storms on these tanks and clears out this army. Royal is getting slowed down here by quite a lot, and we might end up seeing that carrier transition a little bit later on here and have it be very, very powerful in the late game.
Yeah, it looks like Royal has kind of like was a little bit too hasty in coming down and dealing with this, that he kind of threw a lot of his units away. I think he still might be able to overrun Snow, though. Snow is still struggling to trade cost efficiently. He's got a few High Templars remaining, but they're running out of energy quite imminently. There's more and more units streaming in for Royal. I think he's just barely got enough to overrun Snow. Snow was doing such a phenomenal job of storming with those High Templars and building the units that he could as quickly as he could to defend against this kind of onslaught from Royal. But it seems like a numbers game right now, and Royal's kind of coming out on top, and he's slightly overrun this position in the bottom left quadrant of the map now. Looks like Royal is kind of long distance mining some of these bases, not yet setting up the 9 o'clock, has been mined out in his main and natural, so it's going to be down 2 to 3 base economy now until that 9 o'clock is efficiently saturated. Currently now looks like Snow also taking the top right base, but that's going to be vulture raided as well. So it looks like kind of everywhere is like on fire for both players as Snow comes into 9 o'clock with his own contingency of infantry laying siege to that base as well, preventing any mining there, pulling down Royal back to a 1.5 base worth of production. So pretty good situation for Snow in the sense that he's limiting the production capabilities of Royal right now. However, it's still going to be a very tight game for both players. Right now it looks like Royal's doing a great job of limiting the production capability of Snow. Beautiful blanketing storms on these siege tanks on the low ground at the 9 o'clock position as well. Looks like Snow doing a good job of maybe even getting the snipe on this command center. I can't see the HP of that command center, but I think it will go down.
Yeah, there it is. That did go down indeed. We've got a tank drop here in the top right-hand corner. GT's popping out here. Going to try to drag mines. Oh, beautiful mine drag there. Snow with the finesse. Almost able to take this game now. He's actually getting himself into a better and better position over time. I feel like Royal, with that massive advantage, losing his 5th base, though, it's not looking good, man. You need to get something out on the map here and punish some of these bases. You can't allow Snow to hold the upper right at the moment, but look at that. The entirety of the bottom left has been cleared out. The carrier transition has been stopped. So there's not going to be that threat on the map here in the future. It's just going to be Vulture, or it's just going to be Gateway units for the remainder of this game. Great EMP on these Dragoons, cleaning a lot of them up. What do we have on the high ground here? I think there's only one Gateway, so not going to be a lot of Templar popping out of that area to help save. Oh my god, there's actually carriers being produced in the main?
Yeah, he's still doing the carrier switch anyway. Snow being a little bit stubborn with that. I'm not sure it's the right decision, but he's doing it anyway. I mean, fair play to him. I can't necessarily say I blame him. I'm not sure it's going to work in this case, though. He's going to be really struggling for gas now and not able to produce the Templars that he needs to kind of combat this big Terran mech army. Now getting his probes absolutely ravished again in the top right corner of the map. He's going to have this economy reduced to an absolute pittance at this rate. Certainly not enough to keep up with Royal. Royal doesn't yet have this 5th base up and running, so Snow's got that going for him. But right now, the army does favor Royal as long as he engages well here. It looks like Snow trying to skirmish as best he can while he buys time for some of these carriers to come out. If he can get maybe 5 to 6 carriers out here with full interceptors, it might be some hope for him. But with 3-3 Terran upgrades, it's going to be really tall order for Snow going forward. I don't know what the upgrades are going to be on these carriers, but I don't think it's going to be quite anywhere near as good as 3-3 Goliaths. So might be a little bit tough for Snow. We'll have to see if he can make anything happen with these carriers.
Yeah, he needs to continue to buy time here with the army. As the carriers come forward, we can see there's not too many interceptors here and ready. Some storms coming out there, really blanketing those tanks, but the ground army is incredibly small for Snow right now. Not too many Goliaths here, but there aren't quite enough interceptors ready to go. Another EMP going to go down as well. Getting rid of that Templar energy. Just completely shut down here with those Templar, and this army's going to push through and I think shut down this base. With this base going down, we're going to be on even mining here between the Terran and the Protoss. Nice shuttle drop here. The Zealot bombs are going to clear out a lot of these tanks. Storms should go down on these Goliaths as well, limiting the number of those. Oh my goodness, Snow taking this engagement incredibly well, clearing out those tanks very, very efficiently, and now the Zealots are going to continue to push forward. Does choose to back away. I think that Roll is going to be able to snag this top right of the map. What is this gateway here? That's hilarious.
Royal's natural third mineral only just got mined out at that moment, so he is now reduced back down to 2 bases worth of economy with this new mineral only he secured in the top right quadrant of the map. Is now laying siege back to the 3 o'clock position yet again. SaiyanSC is going to be providing some vision onto that high ground for these siege tanks to pick away at these units. There is still a high Templar, couple of high Templars up here with these carriers. Maybe could make something happen. It is possible, it is doable for Snow here to stabilize and make something work while he tries to expand to the bottom left of the map yet again and somehow get a sizable amount of carriers that are gradually going to be upgraded. It looks like he's got +2 upgrades on the weapons of these interceptors actually, so not too bad here for Snow going forward. Has some respectable damage on these interceptors, can do enough damage to pick off these Goliaths and tanks quite eventually, but not going to have the same kind of potency they might have in the earlier phases of the game, so needs to be a little bit careful and more passive here, does Snow, but that will afford Royal a lot more time and ability to get set up himself. Will be taking these bases in the top right, splitting them up completely in half and making it very, very difficult for him going forward. But with this gateway in the top right, I wonder if he's going to be able to do something about this expansion later on. He's not going to be sieging in the bottom left with these 2 siege tanks, doing a lot of damage to these probes. It's like Snow desperately trying to get back there to deal with these siege tanks, because losing all these probes could be huge for him right now.
We're going to lose the space in the center right. I'm trying to find a way, trying to think of a way that Snow can win this game. He's got a decent carrier count, but with Royal taking the entirety of the top right-hand corner of the map and Snow not really able to contest that right now, I don't know how this is going to be a win for Snow. Here comes the Reaver plus some carriers here to take this out. He will get back to mining here at the mineral only, but this is vulnerable now to vultures, which could come down and easily start sniping all of these probes. Looks like he is going to shove that back with a Reaver. DT popped out of this gateway, is going to delay as much as possible the mining here in the top right. And honestly, he's done a fantastic job of that. But this will eventually be shut down. And Royal's going to have far more bases, far more mining than Snow here in a moment. The number of Goliaths that are going to be popping out, the number of science vessels that are going to be available is going to be crazy. Now, Snow doing some sort of desperate attack here in the middle, sending the carrier forward. I don't know where that's going, but we've got some Templar here. We've got some Reavers. Going to try and do our best to blanket those storms and push back these Goliaths. Just pure Zealot army here. It's kind of a funny looking army, but it's actually doing a pretty decent job of shoving everything back from Royal. He gets another great storm there, holding this high ground position. It's going to be hard for Royal to break up here, and he's going to lose this command center.
Yeah, it's interesting because with Carrier, Storm, and Zealots and Reavers, with perfect micro, it's actually a very potent unit composition and can destroy a very strong Terran army, even one that looks quite superior. So with good control here, Snow can make something happen. If he can somehow rotate round to the 12 o'clock position and take out the command center up here, this is a winnable position for him. He has to make sure he maintains his high ground at the middle only, though. If he lets Royal take this high ground for free, it might be a little bit tricky for him. And he is kind of giving up that high ground right now, so I'm not sure this is the right call from Snow. It's like he wants to instead try and set up a little turtle position at this 12 o'clock instead. It might actually work out well for him. He does need to kill this command center if he wants any chance limiting the production of the Terran to be able to come back in this game. So this is kind of the right move from him here. He will be able to swing around into the top right side of the map as well. But this could be an EMP on all of these carriers if he's not careful. Starting to flee from this science vessel, is aware of the threat of taking a big chunk of shields all the way, all from all those carriers would be a nightmare situation for him because he needs as much hit points on those as possible to have any chance at tanking the damage of this carrier, the intercept of the Goliaths going forward. So needs to be really careful with the positioning of these carriers. Can't afford to take any kind of spells like the EMPs or too many shots from the Karen boosted upgraded missiles of these Goliaths as well. Needs to be saving as much hit points on these units as he navigates around the map in the center. Is now starting to take a lot of damage to that mineral only in the bottom left as well. So more and more of his economy being absolutely gutted. Now Snow's forced to come into the top right and engage this army head on. There's quite a few Goliaths here and some Zealots soaking up some of this fire, but I don't think there's enough firepower from these interceptors to be able to take out all of these Goliaths without enough storms.
GG. Snow taps out. Strangled here by Royal. Slowly but surely, he takes over the map, shuts down those bases, and man, that was some impressive vulture harassment from Royal. All right.
Yeah, Snow didn't have too much of a shot against Royal until the end there. It looked like he had a pretty good shot at the end with that unit composition, but I wasn't too confident of his ability to win. Royal looked pretty solid most of the game.
Yeah, that was it was difficult to see a way he was going to be able to come back there, but he almost made it happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good effort from Snow nonetheless.
Definitely a good effort. All right. Royal versus Queen is next.
Eating chocolate or something.
Hmm?
Like KCM were like eating some sort of like sponsored chocolate or something.
Was it? Let me see.
They're eating some chocolate at the end of that match, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. He just shoved all 4 pieces in his mouth.
Oh, yeah, no.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if that's a sponsor, but
I mean, I assumed it
that's
was.
like a really big brand. That's a really big brand in Japan. Yana. Let me see. All right, you ready? You want to take a little break or just jump into it?
We can jump into it.
Okay, let's go.
너무 고맙습니다. 다들 어서 오세요. KCM 경쟁자 함께하고 계십니다. 2023 세 번째 시즌 3주차. 아우 오늘도 역시
Okay, here we go. Royal versus Queen has begun here. We are on Tempest, this new ASL map for the fresh season 16 of the ASL. We're getting our sneak peek here at what these two fantastic Brood War players think of this map, how they feel like they want to play on it. It's very exciting to see. Have you seen this map yet?
We've seen it a little bit, yeah. We casted some games on it in the first week of KCM. Honestly, I'm not...
Was it in the first week? Oh.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, we had that ZVP on it, I think, right?
I honestly can't remember. Anyway, go on with your thought.
Oh, yeah, I'm not too sure about this map. It kind of allows for very unorthodox playstyle, or at least allows you to be a bit greedier with certain build order choices than you would usually. It looks like a very fast pool going to be coming out from Queen, anticipating this kind of aggressive style from Royal. But yeah, I'm not too sure about this map because it, say for example in PvZ, it allows for like a bit more like Reaver Ser kind of play. I'm not too sure how these players will adapt to it, if they will start to abuse certain build orders more because of the geometry of the map and this big massive ramp and the height. How close this ramp is to the expansion makes it so easy to hold as well. So yeah, this definitely changes the meta a little bit, and the players are definitely going to be thinking about how to abuse this map. Looks like Royal has decided that he wants to control the early game by putting out a lot of pressure with a very fast 1-1-1 build, I believe. He's going to be making a factory and then a starport followed behind this, I think.
Yeah, this was an incredibly fast barracks, so you know if he doesn't get any damage done with this, it's going to be a little bit rough. Queen went for that early pool. He's going to be popping out 4 lings here. There's not going to be any damage coming from this attack, and yeah, he's just going to I think send the Marines back home. Actually, just float the barracks and send the Marines to the front. Maybe build a bunker here. He can't actually build the command center right now. He doesn't have a factory finished just yet, so he needs a vulture to pop out here before he can actually try to take his natural, and this has already gone a little bit poorly here for Royal, but he can still recover. There are still options for him in this game. He's just in a kind of a rough situation here, floating his barracks across the map, and you know, turtling up here, trying to get his first vulture out. And look at that Hydro stand from Queen. He's completely identified this from start to finish. He's been ahead so far.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's going to be like a 9-2 2-hatch Hydra build to try and put on a little bit of pressure and counteract this fast vulture play from Royal. And he did kind of get completely bamboozled in the start here. Queen completely rocked his world by making this early pull. Royal was kind of banking on the 12 hatchery or 11 hatchery play from Queen and punching out with these initial Marines and having the vulture follow up with the starport coming. Yeah, there's the starport there. So he would have done this build pretty much as we see now, except he would have been able to put a lot more pressure on in the early game, maybe kill a few drones and get a slight economic lead from that on, from then on. But it looks like Queen going to be using some good mineral boosting in the natural expansion to get the most out of those 2 drones. He's doing a 9-2 build, which is where he has 9 drones mining minerals in the main and 2 drones mining in the natural, and that's basically the saturation you need to perfectly produce 2 hatcheries worth of hydras and upgrades. So it's probably going to be pulling off one drone off of gas after he gets the range upgrade on the way of those Hydras, unless he wants to go into a transition into leg. Going to be catching this Vulture a little bit as well, putting on some damage onto that, taking it down to about 2/3 already. Now going to be shuffling down that ramp, making his way downtown to this bottom right quadrant with some Zerglings to support those Hydras while Royal desperately tries to get a bunker up in time. He's going to really need a strong repair on this bunker as well if Queen decides to go up to like 12 or so Hydras and try and push up here. But he's going to be coming in before the bunker's even finished anyway, try and target down some of these units. Isn't able to do so. The bunker does finish. Marines get inside the bunker, so now for the time being, Royal is going to hold.
Royal holding on here right now, and to be fair to him, it is the standard play to go for a 12 hatch. That's very strange that Queen decided to go for that early pull, just kind of predicting him completely. If Royal had gone for an early command center here, imagine the position. It would have been amazingly good here. I'm not sure if you can actually do a full wall that's ling tight at that natural, but with the ramp there and the ling tight wall, it would have been an incredible position for Royal. So you can you can expect that most Terran players would play that way. It's just that Queen completely metagamed Royal here. He figured out what was coming and countered it completely. Now dropship's out on the map, but the Overlord's already spotted that. The Hydras will have to be pulled back here, which is a good benefit to having this dropship out on the map, but I actually didn't know about this. That's a high ground over top of your natural. We haven't seen a high ground like this in quite some time. That a lot of these high grounds over naturals or high grounds over main bases was kind of kicked out of the metagame of map making back in like Lost Temple days, I feel.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that, Saiyan. And he's respecting it so much that he's building a creep colony on top of that gas to protect it. But hold the phone, because these vultures are getting into the main base with this vulture dropping, taking a lot of damage to these drones already, trying to transfer to that natural for safety, but already going down by about 3 or so drones, I believe. Actually didn't take too much damage that he could have. If Roy was more on top of his target firing, he would have killed a lot more drones there, but instead he kind of like staggered his shots a little bit and didn't kill as many as he could have. Did do a lot of critical damage though, still killing 5 or 6 drones so far. Now going to be coming into the natural to be kill another drone on top of that as well. Is going to be getting another drone kill. So really good play from him. And like we were saying just a moment before, is going to be having to respect this high ground so much that he's making a sunken to protect that gas income on the left-hand side of the hatchery as well. So yeah, this high ground situation is a bit precarious and a bit of a weird thing to be bringing back into the map meta.
Yeah, strange. That's something that can favor the Terran player to kind of a ridiculous extent. When you get dropships out on the map and you start landing tanks up there, it's going to become insanely difficult to fight back against. So yeah, very surprised that we see this coming back into the map making meta. Queen sending out a drone. He's going to go ahead and try to take a third now. The game has been very back and forth, very strange. Not your typical ZVT at all, but we've navigated ourselves to a point now where both players are starting to move towards a more natural looking game, a more normal looking game. We've got some mutas are going to be popping out here soon with the Spire being finished, and we've got a bunch of barracks being thrown down. So Marine Medic and Science Vessel is going to be the end position here for Royal. And we're probably going to see some mutas followed up by maybe some lurkers here and eventually a transition from Queen.
Yeah, right now I think the game is slightly favoring Queen because of how much defense Royal has had to make, and there hasn't been a significant damage besides those drones that went down for Royal. So Queen, I think, is in a pretty okay position. But one thing he hasn't done is he hasn't gotten this third gas up early. So as long as he can get this third base uncontested on the left-hand side, as we see going up now, if he can get that uncontested and get that gas going and can somehow put on some pressure right now with these speedlings, and but he's not to see the lurkers being morphed. I don't think Royal saw it. He doesn't know that about the lurkers right now. I think the links prevented the SCV from... He does scan though. Now he sees the lurkers. Okay, so he knows exactly what's going to be coming. So I don't think this attack will work anymore, but he's going to go for it anyway. Here come the lurkers sliding up to the ramp. Not quite a good borrowing position. He's going to try and target down these bunkers anyway. They are next to each other, so I can splash them both down at the same time. Scourge do connect on one of those vessels, taking them down to just 2 remaining, but most of the lurkers have died. All 3 bunkers have been eliminated, however, so now going to be shuffling forward with the remaining lurkers. Does get the tank and borrow on top of where the command center meets the wall, so now has able to shut out any mining and now preventing the Terran from doing much as he comes down the ramp on top of the Terran production, getting 2, but these lurkers borrowed right next to this factory and add-on, starting to target that down with the links as well, so we can get the upgrade and the tank production capability eliminated. Will be really good for him. He is starting to target that down. It's going to get a kill on that. And now that he's on top of the production of Royal as well, it'll be very difficult for him to stabilize from here. So maybe Queen's done it. If he can just get a few more units rallied down here and isolate, I think he can actually win the game from this position. Does try and get the surround on the tank. Beautiful surround with those Zerglings helping the Zerker connect with the spines on that subterranean spines. Going to help finish that off as well. Gets a beautiful surround on his bar units coming out of the 3 barracks production as well. Looks like Queen has done it, getting on top of Royal really heavily in this game, catching all the units as they come out from these barracks, streaming one at a time. Not going to be enough. Beautiful play from Queen. More and more Zerglings streaming across the map now. Only mining on this one base is Royal with three barracks production. Not going to be enough to stabilize against these units, I feel. So now it looks like Queen has done it. And a few Hydras going to be coming in as well to add a bit more range DPS to these units to prevent the surface area of those SCVs from becoming too much of a relevant factor in these trades. So it's going to be able to snipe off some of these Marines, even with good blocking from those SCVs. So looks like Queen looking in a great spot here, reducing the count further and further of Royal. Is going to now start taking more and more shots at these SCVs now, reducing the economy of Royal. Just in case he somehow did stabilize, it'd be much harder for him to win the game after recovering from his position. So
a few Firebats popping out here, but Lings, Hydras getting in on top of all of this. We've got all the Hydra upgrades that were finished earlier, so the Hydra's doing very, very well here. And GG finally is called. Royal, the fantasy GG timing, he finally leaves the game. That was surprising. I did not think that Queen was going to be able to break that ramp there. 3 bunkers, a tank, and what was that, 4 science vessels there as well. He got tons of irradiate down on those units. He had a lot of Marines in those bunkers just firing down on everything, but somehow Queen managed to break through there. That is crazy to me. I thought you were going to follow that up, but...
oh, my bad. I thought we were
right.
following the format of you just doing a closing thought.
It's okay. No worries.
No, it's nuts, dude. The thing that made him be able to pull it off was simply because he could attack from the northern threshold. They had 2 bunkers lined up nicely, and even though he got irradiated by the vessels, didn't matter. They still provided enough DPS to nuke down those first 2 bunkers. And the siege mode took too long to finish from Royal as well, so he couldn't have any positional advantage with those tanks either. So Queen pulled the trigger really well on that and got on top of him, and he got the focus down on that machine shot before the range could finish. Sorry, the siege tank mode could finish, and then also preventing any small additional siege tanks being produced. Yeah, it's just like really well executed from him.
Very well done. And now we have an even series. Look at that. 1 of each race is left.
Yeah.
Do you want to grab a drink or quick break?
Yeah. I'm going to take a little break and grab a drink.
Sure.
I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be streaming in a couple of minutes. Damn, it's gonna be best versus queen. Are you there, Sam?
Yeah.
What was funny?
I'm just watching something stupid.
Okay. You got 2 more games then?
Yeah. Yeah, a couple more games. I'm just watching
What's that?
like Indian villagers or Pakistani villagers watching Lord of the Rings.
I've seen it. I've seen that video. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's yeah, like Indian villagers reacting to like Hollywood media and stuff, like, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's interesting.
So
yeah.
funny.
Their interpretation of it's kind of cool and wholesome.
Yeah. And it's making me like nostalgic for the first time I watched it.
Yeah, because you kind of got to be envious of that, because there's such a pure reaction to it, right? And we can never get that again. We've become too exposed.
Yeah. It was so epic. But it's never gonna be the same again.
It can't.
I've heard of ways that you can like hypnotize yourself to forget certain things. Like you can forget that you watched a movie, and then you can like watch it as though you've never seen it before. But I don't know if I believe in that. I don't know. I've never tried it, but
Right.
it would be cool to experiment with.
Dustin says, now imagine Avatar. Sure, even they will be like, well, I've heard that story.
I mean, it's like it's got some really base themes. Do you know what I mean? Like the base story of Avatar is so thematic. Maybe they would just recognize it.
Yeah, I think possibly. Dustin says any movie that isn't as good as the second time wasn't very good to start with, in his opinion.
I mean, it's still very, very good. It's just the surprise is gone, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm. But sometimes films are layered in such a way that you can like see new things when you watch it again the next time around, right? And you can appreciate it from a new lens and new perspective and what have you. So yeah, some films are, I guess, written in such a way that they can be reappreciated on multiple viewings. But not every screenplay is written with that in mind, though, of course, and nor should they.
No, and you know the Lord of the Rings series is like a very hero's journey-esque story. It's like a legendary story. It's not a Tarantino movie or who's that guy who always has a twist? I don't remember. Damn it, I forget that director's name, but a lot of directors like to throw a twist in, and then that's like the big thing that makes it like a rewatchable film, because the twist happens and you like look at the entirety of the film a new way, and then when you watch it the second time, knowing that the twist is coming, like it totally reveals like a different, you see it completely differently, right?
Yeah, because you're viewing the film through a different paradigm and different lens, so it's like a completely different interpretation of the tone and message of the film and stuff.
Right, exactly. But there's not really any idea or twist in Lord of the Rings. It's a straightforward hero's journey. It's just an epic film, right? It's just a myth, like a legend, you know.
Man, you're making me want to watch movies. I watched a movie earlier today with my cousin. They cloned Tyrone with Jamie Foxx. I recommend it. It's a good little funny sci-fi film. I won't say too much about it, but it's an interesting watch, I'll say that much.
Clone Tyrone?
They cloned Tyrone with Jamie Foxx. Interesting recent film that just came out. Comedy, sci-fi. I'm not going to say anything else about it, but it was a funny watch.
Huh. Okay, sounds good. I've been watching a lot of Last Kingdom recently. Just caught up on the newest season, and I'm watching the movie that came out to finish off the series. And I was thinking about you. In England.
Oh yeah, really?
They're always talking about England. We're in England. Gotta form England. The dream of a pure England. Pretty funny. A lot of history. Of wild shit. Okay.
All right, mate. Oh, but before we start, we got Dustin is saying that's the difference is in the masterpiece and a classical movie. Oh, hot take. Lord of the Rings is a great journey, but it wasn't a great story. As in, it's fun to be taken along for this cool visual and magical world, but without the theme park meh. That's his hot take on Lord of the Rings.
Well, that is a hot take indeed. I guess that's just objective, or like not an objective, subjective take. Yeah.
I
So
mean,
you don't think it's a great
yeah,
story?
and you're welcome to your opinion, Dustin. At the end of the day, you know, you feel that way, you feel that way.
Mm.
All right, Sam. Let's get into it. We got Best versus Queen. Which of these two races are going to be knocked out, do you think?
Ooh, I don't know, man. It's hard to say. I feel like Queen has an advantage here, but let's take a look at this map. I don't even know which map this is. We've got like a little cross in the middle.
Okay, well, which of these players is more religious? Do you think that will be a factor?
Let's take a look. La Campanella.
Okay, well, interesting.
Campanella?
Campanella.
I don't know. Should I use British pronunciation or Spanish, or I'm not really familiar with French. Campanella. Definitely in Spanish, 2 L's is a Y sound, but I'm not sure about this.
That's Little Bell, right?
La is just the, so the bell.
Is it?
I think so. Little would be petite.
No, but is it
Petite
La?
Campanella.
Was it La or Le?
It's la. So it's not.
That's not Le. Le would be the. It's La, then it's not. It's Little. Little Bell.
Is it? Really?
Because if it was the, it'd be Le. Like
Campanella.
Le Camp. Yeah.
La. I think you just use la if it's female. And if it's male.
I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I'm not very good. I'm not very proficient, so I'm probably talking out of my ass.
No, it's definitely small. Little bell, yeah, we'll go with
Was
that.
I right? Was I right? Little bell? Close enough? I was pretty sure because it's le, not la, right? For the. Anyway.
That's funny.
Let's ring the little bell and see who's going to win this game.
All right. The game's not over until the little bell rings. All right, match number 7. We got Best versus Queen on this brand new map, La Campanella or Campanilla. I'm not sure which pronunciation is correct, but it's an interesting map. We've got a little cross base in the center, has some Christian themes going on, and we'll have to discover this a little bit going forward.
Yeah, I believe the map name translates to Little Bell. I'm not too good with these languages, though, so I could be mistaken there. But I do believe it is Little or Small Bell. I'm not sure who's going to be ringing the bell on this map this time around, but one of these guys is going to have his bell rung and will have his race completely eliminated from this week. We are down to the final player in each of the lineups, so either Protoss or Queen or Zerg, represented by Queen, will be knocked out in this match. So who will be putting some points on the board this week? We'll have to find out imminently. Going to be seeing that gateway in the natural expansion for Best first. A little bit uncharacteristic of him. Usually would have maybe seen the Forge going down from him, I would believe.
Yeah, a gateway here at the front, and the scout is coming out in the wrong direction. Should be sending the Zealot over down to the bottom left. Have some early pressure coming down, and this is a hatchery here on 11 for Queen, so he won't have any lings out, I think, in time to stop this Zealot. I'm not sure exactly how the pathing is from bottom right to bottom left, but it looks to me like it's a pretty close rush distance here.
It looks like 32 seconds or something. Yeah, it looks pretty quick. I'm not sure how much that will affect things with the 11 hatchery. And as we've talked about many a times, and as I like to keep repeating, if you do lose a single drone to this initial Zealot pressure, it's basically completely negating the advantage of going for that fast hatchery. You might as well have just gone for overpull. So do not want to be losing a single drone to this Zealot. Is going to be trying to use this scouting drone to slow down that Zealot, try to maybe get a few shots on it as well if you can afford to do so. Reducing the HP and shields on that Zealot would also be beneficial to him, making it easier to pick up and kill. Just wants to be harassing the Zealot, maybe making it turn around to punch the drone just once or twice will be a sufficient enough delay for him. Could also drill the drone through the Zealot from behind to also try and slow that down that way as well. But he's going to be coming all the way into the main base with this Zealot is Best. Drone finally going to be leaving it alone and stop bullying it, going back to mining the natural as 6 lings do pop out just in the nick of time. You see that how aligned that was with that slowdown from the drone, just buying him barely enough time for those lings to hatch out and be safe.
Oh, looks like he's going to get a great surround here on the Zealot. Really good job trying to tuck that Zealot behind the mineral patches there, but getting right in on top of this, he will kill the probe and the Zealot there without too much delay. Queen, really great control with the early lings, and 2 lings were sent directly across the map here. The cannon's not done. 1 Zealot in the wall here to defend, but if Queen is on top of this, he could jump forward and try to deal some damage to this. Probe's pulled, though. He will keep the photon cannon alive. Lings, more of them coming across the map. He's trying to deal a little damage as he can to this cannon. 1 ling going to come from behind here, trying to kill some of these probes, trying to get in on top of this cannon. The cannon takes forever to warp in, and it finally will finish up here, but lings slip by. 4 lings in the main is not a good situation for Best, who's already been shut down with this Zealot pressure. This is looking a little bit rough for him. He's going to have to build a cannon here in the main base as well, just to keep himself from losing too many probes to this constant harassment. And diving on top of these probes here, he's almost going to get one. Turns on this Zealot now. Great control here from both sides. Manages to pick off one of those lings, and the harassment will continue. Another probe going down.
Yeah, really great harassment thus far from Queen, trying to get as many probes as he can before that cannon finally warps in to try and negate the advantage of even making that cannon to begin with. So he's invested 150 minerals in making that cannon and also still lost some probes. Might even lose the Zealot as well. Really unfortunate for Bless losing that Zealot as well. That really does hurt. We do see another unit coming across the map now. A couple of Zealots, but it's not going to be enough for him to win against these Speedlings. Queen can buy some time with these initial Zerglings for more and more to hatch. Best could maybe kill 1 or 2 of these drones in the natural with some good target firing, but it's very unlikely that that will transpire. Queen just has such good control that he probably wouldn't allow that to happen. He's going to be chasing down these Zealots in the main base and cleaning up quite nicely too before they can even get behind the minerals. So really great job from Queen, being very cost efficient in this early game phase. I'm really surprised by Best going for this gateway first style. It's really not in his wheelhouse. He's not really a gateway first kind of style of player. He's way better at playing a bit more passive in the early game with Forge Fast Expand and then going into a stronger mid-game phase. So I'm not too sure that going for the gateway first was the wise decision against Queen here. I don't necessarily blame him, but I still am a little bit confused by it stylistically.
And now the Zealot early game pressure has been completely shut down. We've got Queen spreading out all over this map. La Campania. I don't know how to say it still. I think that it means the bell. But guys, leave your comments down below. Don't look it up. That's called cheating, okay? You just have to just speculate and just guess what it means.
well, Zun says it's la, so it can't be the, because the would be le. So Zun could be really wrong though. So.
Alright, leave your comments down below what you think it is. We've got Queen gearing up here for the mid game, adding on those extra hatches. A Corsair is going to come out here soon. I don't see a Spire. Did you see a Spire?
Yeah, no. Wait, I don't think. Yes, he did. Sorry, he put the Spire in the main gas. Yes, he did. Yeah, we just see a confirmation of that now.
So we've got that Spire done. He's going to have a couple of Scourge on the way here. There's no way he's going to lose an Overlord. Everything looking very, very good here for Queen on this map. What is that base up there in the top left? Is that a natural? I don't think so, right? This seems to be just a small opening base here in the top left.
Yeah, it's kind of an unusual little tuck-in base. In a way, I like these bases. It kind of reminds me of the new way of thinking about expansions. I like Lemire, for example, has these kind of just like pocket expansions with just a nice little fairly tight choke to worry about. It's kind of like an isolated base, which can be hard to defend, but does have that advantage of having a very tight choke, and you can build some pretty good SimCity there to negate kind of too much of pressure. I think it's a very good way of thinking about expansions going forward in the map-making meta. I do like these sort of pocket expansions. I'm happy to see them more. I really kind of like it. I'm not too sure about how I feel about the rest of the map. I'd have to see more game time on it, but so far it's so good. Both players navigating it fairly well, it seems. I think that Queen's definitely getting the better end of the stick, though, in terms of how he's navigating forward into this mid-game phase. Now going to be seeing a lot of Hydralisks come out from these hatcheries. It might be a little bit too much for Best to handle. Does have those Zealot legs finally kicking in, but now going to be maybe losing a couple more of these Zealots to Zerglings. Really weird to be losing any Zealots against these Zerglings right now. Need to be very careful with that. Is now kind of sending these 2 Zealots out ahead, and now the Queen has hit the Hydras. He's run down to the southern threshold, but now going to be intercepted by the remaining Zealots as well. So now he finally does see these Hydras are en route, so we'll be throwing down more and more cannons to defend this. There's also a Dark Templar to come out to deal with this, but there is a slow Overlord cycling buckling down to this choke point, so we'll be able to keep laying siege to this expansion regardless of the fact. So does have some Corsairs to come in to try and counteract this, but with the 2 Scourge here to kind of practice a little bit of a zone control for these Overlords, and with the Hydras to boot as well, might be enough defense against these Corsairs to deal with this. One Scourge does connect to those Corsairs, but the other one was killed, so pretty good trade thus far. Does do a good job of buying some time for these cannons to start warping in, but Queen has a lot of Hydras right now. Could be going for the kill move at any moment, but isn't yet moving out with the additional Hydras, so it looks like it is a little bit of a pressure play from Queen. Now going moving into targeting down the front cannons, so he can then open up this position by killing the Forge and the Gateway. It looks like he wants to go for the kill move and the pylon at the front because he sees the exposed pylon. Does get the pylon. There's nothing warping in right now to save these cannons. They're completely offline. More Hydras streaming across the map right now. The pylon is being remade, but only one cannon in the back is currently online, able to deal with this. So now the front wall is going to be targeted down for free. There is some High Templars with Storm Energy now starting to blanket those Hydras at the front. But beautiful Storm Damage from Queen will be preventing too much damage onto those Hydras. And with more and more Hydras coming across the map, he should be able to break open some of his position to make it really tough for Best going forward here, Saiyan.
Oh my god, this is so tense right now. That pylon, Artosis pylon there in the front getting picked off. All those cannons going unpowered. The storm came out, but you can't win. You can't hold off an attack unless you've got cannons and storm. One or the other is just not going to be enough. Here comes the storm. Really, really good there. Does pick off one of those cannons though, and now there's only 3 left. I think that Queen can actually break through here. He's running forward, trying to get on top of this. He is going to get on top of that one remaining cannon there, and a few more warping in, but they are very, very spread. Not all the cannons are able to shoot every time the Hydras come up. More cannons are being thrown down. More Zealots are popping out here. He's got a Templar, but it just doesn't have enough energy. A few more probes are going down. The Corsairs are getting to work on some of these Overlords, but still a long way away from a supply block here. And another cannon goes down to just 4 Hydras with many more rallying up here. I think he's just barely going to break through, although 3 more Templar pop out. If those storms are available when these Hydras come forward, he's going to be able to hold. Storm, no storm here. 3 more cannons finish up. This is crazy, crazy close, but so many probes have gone down. I think that Queen can still transition out of this, even if he doesn't end up breaking.
Right, he definitely can still transition. He just identifies that there is a moment of weakness here where he's still trying to desperately get that Psionic Storm energy available. He has the opportunity to keep targeting down these cannons and cracking open his vision and forcing the probes to come off the line to block the surface area of the Hydras, which enables him to then reduce the economy of the Protoss player by having some free ducks in the barrel to shoot. So those probes going down for free basically to those Hydras, helping him stabilize his position in this game further by reducing that saturation of the probes. And now we'll have to not only remake some of those cannons to be defended, but now we'll have to remake a lot of those probes as well to resaturate. So going to be a little bit hard for Best to make additional gateways at the moment. So he's not going to be going up to that full gateway production that he wants. He's going to be catching some of these Hydras in the middle of the map, which is really good though. If he can reduce the Hydra count going forward, it's going to be really beneficial for Best because he doesn't want to allow Queen to have that critical mass of Hydras that Queen needs to have full map control. So if he can do a good job of catching some of these Hydras and reducing their numbers, that will help him going forward. He does need to be able to keep the army potency of Queen as low as possible so he can either come out on the map and put some pressure onto these expansions while also taking his own expansions. He does need to get third base online very soon.
I think this third base here that we're seeing on screen right now is actually a kind of an island base that's behind the minerals. If you can go behind the minerals of your natural, I think you can get down into that sort of semi-island location and take that third base. So there may be an easy third base for Best to take. If that's the case, I think he can draw this out into a much longer game. But if he has to push out here and try to take a base, it's going to be very, very difficult for him. There's lurkers on the way. Queen has a huge supply right now. He's only 10 supply behind where Bez is at. His drone saturation is there right now. The lurkers are going to be coming forward and setting up here in a concave. And yeah, this is just going to be very tough to break through. Oh! Lurker drop! Ooh.
Spicy.
Yeah, we might have some lurkers drop behind those mineral patches at the natural. There's a lot of space back there to drop, and if he's not paying attention to this, he could lose every single probe in a matter of seconds. It's like, oh, Dragoons are out and ready to shut this down. As long as he pulls back the probes here, he should be fine. Yeah, he might lose one or two, but in the end, looks like he will be able to keep this alive. Oh, Lurkers here in the main as well. So the two-prong drop actually going to get quite a few kills on those top patches. Best really doesn't have anywhere to move with his probes right now. Gonna have to leave them idle somewhere if he doesn't want to keep losing them. More and more kills here. 6 kills on this Lurker. 8 kills now. We don't have an observer out.
This is the 1-2 punch that you want to do with lurker drops. You basically force them to transfer their probes into their main base or the natural with the first drop, and then the second drop kills everything after the transfer. That's why you see like a delayed 2-prong attack. So what happened there was the probes came from the natural to the main base as the lurkers were landing in the main base. If there wasn't any cannons in the main base, those lurkers would have landed right on top of that mineral field and killed basically the entire mineral line from both bases. So it's a really well executed 1-2 punch that you can do with lurker drops like this to kind of stagger the drop timings, so that as they transfer to the next base, you then hit them with the other drop, and not only are they distracted, but you then get 2 for the price of 1.
And something I hadn't really considered until now is that, you know, this is a brand new map. We've got Best here not maybe placing his buildings in the best possible formations here, making it hard for him to get back into the main to clear out those lurker drops. Now he's starting to move forward, but the lurker army in the front is very, very scary. This contain is going to be super difficult to break through. He's got a good number of Dragoons here, but the Hydras are going to run forward and push everything back. Storms were decent, but I don't think he's going to be able to break out of here anytime soon. It's time to take a third base. I really feel like Best should take that island base in the back.
It's a very deep concave, which is the problem. The deeper the concave, the harder it is for Storm to be effective, and the Dragoons are going to struggle to trade efficiently if the Queen is able to engage properly here, and Queen is doing a pretty good job of setting up a nice concave onto those Dragoons, and as we can see, with that huge surface area, it's a lot easier to Storm dodge for Queen as well, so they're gaining a lot of the advantage of those Templars by setting such a wide arc of contain with those Lurkers, so really well executed from Queen, understanding how to abuse the geometry of the map there and force Best into an unfavorable kill box position and reducing the potency of that huge Dragoon count. So I really like how the Queen's handling this game going forward. It looks like he's getting set up to kind of do a little 1-2 punch on Queen at the natural expansion and take out the rest of these goons, because if you reduce the goon count enough, it's just impossible for them to ever get a critical mass to keep fighting the Hydras. So it looks like Queen going to be capitalizing on this moment of weakness for Best now as well and reduce those numbers further.
Yeah, great micro here from Queen, just shoving forward over and over again. I am shocked that that Best is not taking that third base. I really feel like, you know, he's lost so much. He's had such a hard time here in the early game. Getting that third base online for free and, you know, gearing up for a later push out would be better than just trying to break this contain right here, right now, when Queen's really got the advantage. He's got the numbers to be able to hold this back. Now he's coming out once again. He's just going to continue to try and throw himself against this wall of a Hydra and Lurker, and GG, he taps out without even trying to take the third base. That is shocking to me.
Yeah, kind of crazy they didn't go for that there, so.
Well, it's a new map, a brand new map. That's the first time I've seen that one. And I'm looking forward to seeing more games there. It seems like an interesting addition to the map pool here for ASL and KCM. Okay. How are we doing?
Doing pretty good. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
All right. I mean, I'm ready to jump into it if you want. What map is this?
This is another new one. I can't remember what it's called. It's Apocalypse.
Okay. Free player. Three peninsulas. Okay. 12 base. Okay. Let's go.
자, ASL 맵 중에 하나인 아포칼립스로 넘어오셨습니다. 그리고 찐막의 정영재 대 김영. 아포칼립스 혹시 맵 뜻이
Our final map of the night. It's going to be Apocalypse.
이것 뜻은 모르겠어요.
Or JYJ and Queen. The final showdown here between Terran and Zerg. Protoss, unfortunately, was eliminated first. Not going to earn any points this week, but still got the chance here for both Terran and Zerg to take that first place, to grab those 2 points and a burst forward on the board. Zerg has been looking really lax on that overall KCM record so far, so they're really hoping to get this win here on this new map, see if Queen can pull it off.
Yeah, they're a little bit lackluster in their performance thus far as the points on the board are concerned, so definitely want to be picking up those 2 points if they can. And yeah, this map Apocalypse, looking a little bit interesting. It's a 3-player map. I kind of like the geometry design of it with these 3 high ground peninsulas in the center, kind of forming like an upside down triangle shape. I'm not too sure how this will affect TVZ on this map. It looks like you can kind of do this interesting half wall in the natural, but you can't do a full wall. I'm not sure what JYJ's got planned here with this early wall-in style that he wants to go for. It's like Queen's just going to be throwing down a tried and true 12 hatch, nothing kind of unorthodox from him. But how much time do you think these players get to experiment on these maps before these games?
I'm not sure about that. I mean, the new map pool came out last week. We had the new maps in the last week of KCM, so they've had at least a week, and they've been playing games on them. You know, getting prepared in Pro League. Of course, they're not in the ladder or anything, so only in custom games have they been able to practice. So I guess it depends on, you know, how many practice partners they have and who's willing to practice with them is going to be the answer to your question there.
Right, and that might be quite limited given the field of players and how busy the schedules of the players are and who's interested in this map pool and who isn't. So maybe some of these players not able to get the kind of practice and they need to, maybe even having to practice on their own a lot on these maps or within their dugouts within their own races to try and kind of, you know, brainstorm ideas of how to navigate certain matchups on certain maps using the collective brain power of their race to try and figure out the best way to deal with certain situations on certain maps, but maybe not getting the kind of practice time that they actually need, despite having the good theory craft sessions with their team. So it would be interesting to see if like there's a theory over execution here on some of these new maps where they've got some good ideas, but not necessarily the practice they need to execute them well. So let's see if JYJ can put on a significant amount of pressure with these initial Marines coming forward now. Looks like he's not quite moving all the way across just yet, dragging these Zerglings into the main base a little bit deeper before showing the Marines so that it's a little bit further they have to run before they can come in to save these drones. But why is he going to be pulling these drones right out into the main base and not going to be losing any of those?
Yeah, pulling those back, producing a few more lings here. 4 Marines have arrived now. He does have to be careful not to lose these early Marines because that will translate into a serious advantage for Queen later on, and you really can't give Queen those edges in the early game. If you want to survive his 2 hatch muta play, he is incredibly strong with that micro, and the Marine number, if it gets reduced early, it could lead to a snowballing victory for Queen. Now, a 2.5 hatch is going to be the build of choice here for Queen, setting down that extra hatchery here in the main base. It's going to be slightly slower, him getting his Mutalisk out, but not by much, and he is going to have a lot more larvae here to work with. This is a very popular build right now, and Queen is probably one of the best players in the world to use it.
Yeah, basically with the 2.5 hatch, you're getting your Mutalisks maybe, let's say, 20 or so seconds slower. However, you're getting this third hatchery really early on. So you're getting both, basically best of both. You're getting the slightly earlier tech than you would from the 3 hatch muta, but you're also getting the benefit of that extra lava from that third hatchery as well. So you're kind of double dipping with that and trying to get best of both worlds. And if the Terran player doesn't correctly identify that it is a 2.5 hatchery as well, and they respond with a more standard turret timing, or they don't want to adjust their build, because on the ladder a lot of players won't adjust their build to the finer points to optimize, so you can sometimes get small advantages here. But look at this from Queen, catching 2 of these Marines, just a handful of Zerglings. Great play from him. That was more of just a movement issue from JYJ there, a little bit of a pathing error from this new map, not understanding exactly where to click to get his Marines to go how he wants them to. Now with these Zerglings going to be dogging the bio from behind, being a little bit annoying and slowing down the push as much as he can, buying some time for the sunken official. There's only 1 sunken here for Queen. I hope he's got some units coming out soon, because here comes the Stin from JYJ, going to be targeting that down with the initial Marines. Beautiful surface area on that, going to be helping kill that sunken almost immediately. Drones have evacuated into the main base, and now JYJ going to be targeting down these Mutalisks as they hatch out off the eggs. And now he has got the critical mass of mutas that he needs, down to like 5 or 6 mutas, one of them down to 44 HP as well. So going to be really tough for Queen to take this out cost efficiently. He does get one of the Marines links coming in from behind to help trade efficiently with that, reducing the Marine count down to 4 to 3 now. So doing a good job of doing that, running right with the low HP Mutalisk as well. So pretty well handled from Queen. Could have been a really detrimental there. A worse Zerg player may have fallen apart without the sufficient micro required to mitigate the damage to those mutas. Could have lost so many mutas in the process of trying to clean up that bio efficiently before starting to lose his gas and drones.
Yeah, wow, that was impressive hold from Queen. I died there for sure with those Marines running into the natural. Shocking that he only went for 1 sunken colony, but he managed to pull it off. He kept all of his drones alive. He's back to mining now with full saturation. He's got a good clutch of mutas here, and he killed the first Bioforce, so he's going to be feeling pretty decent right now. Not as good as if he had held off that attack a little bit more cleanly with a second sunken colony, but he's still going to be okay, and he's going to be pushing in with these mutas. A lot of them are damaged. A couple of them went down in that fight, but I think it's acceptable losses here. With the 3rd base coming up, this game could still go along. We're not in a serious advantageous position for either player. What's JYJ going for right now? Is he switching his tech up? Is he going for 4 racks play or 3 racks play?
It's hard to say. He doesn't need to go 4x with the damage he done early game, but he probably will want to do so anyway because of the free hatchery production. Ling's coming into the natural to put some pressure onto these turrets as well, but having to retreat out because there's the superior bioforce is present. One thing to note though is that with this small early aggression from JYJ, he did soften up a lot of those mutas early on, so it was a lot trickier for those mutas to come in and harass the SCV lines as they were already bruised up prematurely, so can't really fight over the turrets for too long, so wasn't able to snipe as many SCVs as you would like to, only killing like 2 or 3 SCVs and not slowing down any of the tech timings of those buildings either. So Queen didn't find the kind of damage that he would usually like to, although right now the supplies are kind of favoring Queen. If he does want to go for a bit of a battle Zerg style here of like just lots of mutas, lots of lings, tries to bait out the bioball of JYJ and then just pounce on top of that with some muta ling, maybe could really get a strong lead over him in this game going forward here. Now up to like 10 or so mutas with another 2 coming, so if he wanted to, he has got enough units where he could really bully JYJ if JYJ is a little bit foolish and comes out any further into this middle.
Oh, we were wondering how much practice these players had on this map, and it seems like Queen has had some real serious practice here because he sent his drones to that 3rd base prematurely and they arrived perfectly on time as the hatchery was finishing up there. He's got a nearly full drone saturation now at that 3rd base. Only 1 mineral patch is not being mined by a drone, so he is getting ready for a very nice macro game here. We haven't seen the tech switch just yet, but he is powering out a ton of lings and mutas right now. Has a couple of sunkens at home as well, and is completely shutting down this Marine force, not allowing it to really leave home, pinning it down. Now that the reinforcements are here, though, it's looking like JYJ can start to move out on the map. Double starport production has begun, and we're going up to 5 racks as well. So full SKT style from JYJ.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good for JYJ in that respect, but one thing I will say is that Queen has done a really phenomenal job of forcing stims from these bio units as well. So coming forward, these 5 medics will not have a huge amount of energy to work with. So JYJ is going to be a little bit careful going forward. Maybe wants to like just stim 1 Marine at a time to kind of force Queen to back off when he doesn't need to and try and save as much energy as possible, because now Queen is going to really start to dog this bio ball going forward, and we'll want to cut off any reinforcements coming down here until these radiates are about to pop out any moment. So he's going to be coming in here and killing all these naked Marines before those irradiates come online. So beautiful job from Queen taking advantage of this, and he can get on top of the science vessel. Could take out the science vessel. Actually, really big mistake from JYJ coming out with the science vessel before the irradiate was even ready. Gets the second science vessel as well. Huge play from Queen. Happy to sacrifice these mutas for those 2 important pickles. Those first 2 science vessels. This is huge news for Queen going forward. He's in such a world of comfort right now.
Wow, that was so impressive. Queen killing off the first 2 science vessels with just the mutas here. And JYJ gotta be regretting having those 2 science vessels rally to the front, because that was easy pickings for his opponent. And lurkers are already out here. The transition is in full swing. These mutas are still a threat though, because we don't have that splash damage yet. JYJ is just in a world of hurt right now. He's going to bring out the lotto ships, spin the wheel, and see what he can get done here, because he is in such a rough position, defending these very well, keeping them hidden for now. The mutas are not in position, but the lurkers are here in the main. They're ready for a drop to come in, and they're ready to hop through that Nidus in case the drop hits that 3rd base as well.
Yeah, he's going to be doing a little bit of a 2-pronged attack. Here come the dropships into the main base while the Bioforce makes its way down to the 3rd location as well. Lurkers are going to start burrowing in fairly decent position, but actually spread out enough for the bio units to do a decent concave and take out some of them. We'll be able to maybe get the Evo Chamber if he shuffles around to the other side of this base. Yeah, he could maybe kill the Evo Chamber here with a little bit more micro, but looks like Queen's not going to allow that to happen. Going to get right on top of these dropships as well on the exit, maybe killing both of these dropships as well, preventing any follow-up attacks as well into the main base, kind of like dashing any hopes that JYJ had of sniping some of these key tech buildings to limit the potency of the Zerg force going forward. So it's going to be really tough for JYJ now, taking this 3rd base on location. Meanwhile, Queen taking this 4th base in the top right as well. So interestingly enough, I think there is a small hope for JYJ. If he can get this gas online, maybe somehow he can stabilize in the mid to late phase, but I don't really like his chances. I really like Queen's position right now. He's got everything going for him, and look at all these macro hatcheries coming online for him as well. He's going to have so much lava, so much production, as long as he doesn't mess up his positional play with how he controls his army going forward, as long as he can keep trading well. Now going into this Lurker, Ling, Defiler, Hydra style of play, it's going to be so cost efficient for him, and he still has some mutas out as well. So once he starts plaguing these vessels as well, those mutas are going to become even more relevant and picking up a lot of units easily as well going forward here. So
yeah, this is get ready for some red Marines with that plague on top of them. We're gonna have Plague Hydra here coming forward. Queen, he wants to get a decent plague here to start things off. He's pushing everything back right now. Hydras are shoving up. He's using the Hydras to zone away these science vessels to not allow them to get the irradiate down on this Defiler. It looks like he will get that down, but the first plague on these science vessels is going to be huge. He gets one of the science vessels as well, and it finally does get that Defiler irradiated, but he's secured himself a very nice position here, holding that high ground in the center right area of the map.
Yeah, controlling these high ground peninsulas is going to be crucial to whoever's going to control the flow of the game. And I feel like with Defilers and Hydras, it's going to be extremely difficult for JYJ to challenge these positions. And he's going to have to trade so many units. The only real hope he would have is by navigating around these peninsulas. As you see, this army on the northern flank now moving up to this 4th gas location in the top right, while the main army on the left-hand side is retreating to the west, baiting the force back, but is losing science vessels for his effort. So he needs to kill this base in the top right for his effort here. He's lost quite a few units in distracting Queen on that western flank, but now Queen coming up with some reinforcing units and defilers to try and save this base. Is going to be running his units to the other side of that hatchery to try and target that down. Sunken Colony's finishing up just the nick of time to add some DPS for these forces, but not quite able to save this hatchery in time. JYJ able to snipe the hatchery crucially here.
That was a great snipe by JYJ, just right-clicking down the hatch. Manages to clear that out. Looks like the Lurker here going to finish that Marine off. But another force making its way over to the top right. He may be able to continuously shut down this fourth base, and that might be his win condition here. Keeping the Zerg off of four bases, 4 gases, really limits their potency. But not as much when you're going for this Defiler Lurker or Defiler Hydra style. On 3 gases, you can still fight for a very long time. You can still produce an incredibly strong army. And as long as you're landing your plagues, you're going to be able to continue to push the Terran player back. Looks like another science vessel goes down, though. That's not a good sign for JYJ. He's already lost like 4 or 5 science vessels this game. And although he is transitioning now, getting mech going, getting some tanks out on the map, the lack of vessels is really going to hurt him here going forward.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for him. He's lost so many of these gas units for free as well, and he has got the 3rd gas online at this base, so having negated the 4th gas from Queen for the time being will be some small victory for him to work with. So it's not all bad news for him going forward. He will now start to set up quite a few of these siege tanks on this high ground peninsula on the western flank. Hopefully he can secure some kind of map control to keep Queen at bay while he starts to expand himself. He'll want to take a 4th gas soon as well and really ramp up his production. The only way he's going to win this game if he keeps continuing to grow from this point on. But it's going to be really tough for him because Queen is going to start encroaching on his position very soon and now going to be moving into the middle of the map with these units. Right now the only thing JYJ's got going for him is being able to force these Defilers to fight out in the open and be as cost efficient as he can with his bio units to buy as much time as possible. He's losing so many of these vessels to these Hydras. He's not really keeping on top of his vessel control this game, losing way too many of these heavy gas units for free. And at this point in the game, you can think of these vessels more as the bulk of your army, and the Marines are really just the support units for those vessels, because the vessels are really going to be the only thing that's going to be killing these Lurkers, killing these Defilers, which are the crucial backbone to the Zerg composition, which are going to be causing the most cost deficiency in your trades. So really you need to be keeping these vessels alive at all costs, using the Marines as sacrificial lambs, and he hasn't really been doing a great job of that. It's JYJ, so he needs to be much more careful with these heavy gas units.
Here comes the push forward. Queen gonna set up some Dark Swarms here. Doesn't have the energy upgrade on that Defiler, but quickly consumes a Hydra and gets a nice plague there on those red Marines, adding some more redness to their color. Coming down this ramp, unfortunately, at a time when the Marines were just happened to be heading up here towards the top right. He's going to kill this hatchery. Lings and Lurkers will come up to kill this army here, but again, shutting down another base for Queen. That 5th gas has to be stopped here. You cannot allow this 5th gas to come up as a Terran player, unless you're going to be taking the entirety of the bottom left third of the map here and setting up a huge number of tanks. We're already at 3-2 for JYJ, so he's not going to end up being behind in his upgrades. We've got 2 armor done for these Lurkers, so that 3rd armor should be on the way, and Ultralisk Cavern I saw was going down as well, so eventually we're going to have this transition. Great positioning here from JYJ, though, with the tanks on that high ground. It's going to be so hard to break through in this area.
Right, definitely will be a lot trickier to move up into that position now. There's a sizable amount of tanks there. Losing more of these vessels, though, is JYJ, unfortunately for him. Another one maybe biting the dust there. There it goes. But yeah, interestingly enough, it looks like JYJ, though, playing whack-a-mole of these bases, sending another contingency up into this northeastern quadrant of the map and going to be trying to take this down his hatchery yet again. It's kind of crazy that he's getting away with this over and over again. It feels like that meme from like Breaking Bad where Jesse Pinkman's like, I can't keep getting away away with it. There's no way you should be letting a Terran player snipe your hatchery over and over again. If you are going to be expanding like this as Zerg, where you're not defending the expansion, you have to double expand in either direction of the map. So he has to be taking the 6 o'clock while taking that expansion. Then he cancels the one that gets attacked. So you can't just expand in a singular direction and not defend it as Zergs. A really amateur mistake from Queen there, not trying to double expand if he's not going to defend that expansion appropriately.
Well, I don't know. You think this is a function of the being kind of new to this map? I feel like earlier when he lost the hatchery, the 4th hatchery, it was definitely excusable because I don't think he knew about that pathway that the Marines were able to take in order to attack that base. But now that he's aware of that, I guess there's really no excuse here as to why he's not defending one of these locations or taking the double expansion. Now he's taking 6 o'clock once again. He's going to try and hold that. There's another force moving around the top side, though. Once again, going to attack into this 4th base, and I didn't see much defenses over there. Now ultras are out, though. He should be able to hold on to this. Do not lose this 4th base right now. That would be critical damage. Coming down to attack the 3rd base as well. There's only one sunken colony here. Queen a little light on his defenses at a bunch of these locations, and he's going to lose the base down at the 6 o'clock as well. Ultras are out here. He's going to have Dark Swarm to hold on, so he will be able to kill this army and hold on to this base here, but JYJ really making it hard for him, really making him taking him to task here, making him pay attention to so many different locations at the same time. JYJ gonna finally lose this force, and it looks like Queen will stabilize, but again, a 5th base has been denied.
Yeah, Queen right now, though, does have a very scary army. He does have a lot of Ultralisks, so if he could somehow bring this army to bear in a cost-efficient way, he can actually crush JYJ right now. It's also 137 supply to 146, so Queen creeping up on JYJ in supply as well. He does have so many Ultralisks with 5 armor at the moment, so if he can just navigate across the map with these army and somehow get into a good position to get on top of this Terran army, another big play coming down on these vessels with some of that chili sauce, going to be softening those up as well for digestion later on. But he needs to be careful not to bleed off too many of these units, because he needs one big attack with all of these ultras and lings come in and just swallow up this Terran army, and he has got enough to do that right now. Queen could win this game right here, right now, if he could just somehow leverage this army appropriately. But it looks like JYJ is going to be spreading himself quite thin across the horizontal axis in the middle of the map. So Queen right now not really confident or sure where he should push his army into. So they're going to be waiting a little bit now, trying to feel out JYJ and see where he's going to be positioning his army and coming in for a big sandwich later on. Could maybe drawing some of the army to the west side of the map by sending in some ultras with a Dark Swarm to draw some of the army over. Maybe he can catch this bio force into the southern threshold of the map. If he can isolate that, it's going to be great for him. But he's going to lose this base as well for free in the 6 o'clock base. Queen getting this gas denied over and over again. Needs to be just double expanding constantly, because eventually one of those bases is going to finish and you've got the gas. But he's, unfortunately for him, not able to get that gas going. And now JYJ could run away with the game if Queen's not careful and he allows him to get up a sufficient amount of tanks.
Yeah, that Ultra army you've been talking about. Oh, here comes Amida. He's going to get a ton of science vessels here. Oh, man, so many science vessels going down. I think he got at least 3 to 4 science vessels there. And look, our Ultras are coming up from the south. That army that you were talking about, that huge Ultra army, has been kind of reduced. Dealing some damage at a few of these bases, but not having the huge mass anymore of Ultra to kind of take down JYJ right now in one fell swoop. Ultra's just kind of running forward here and dying in small groups. And Queen still has a lot. He's getting another base up now. He's getting actually 2 bases up, 3 bases at the same time. So finally taking your advice and expanding all over the place. But he can't be losing these Ultras right now. He's going to probably lose all 5 of these Ultras in very quick succession. And this is not the greatest trade. This is not what Queen needs right now in order to win this game. But this is great. Getting some Lings on top of these tanks here at the bottom side. Some of the Lings and Ultras kind of filing in now a little bit haphazardly, but getting on top of the tanks and picking them off, that is a big deal. Reducing that tank count right now is insanely good for Queen, but he needs to save more bases. He needs to keep these bases alive and continue to press this issue here.
Yeah, being able to secure these bases will be huge for Queen going forward, but there will be some time until he's stable. There is a moment of weakness here until he starts getting these additional gases online, that we won't have that many Ultralisks out on the map. If you can keep JYJ back and keep distracting him with these Ling counterattacks, like we see these Lings coming into this base over here, this is just pure distraction techniques here, keeping JYJ back for as long as possible, harassing him as much as he can, by any time that he can, because every second that passes is another second that he's going to get more and more gas to squeeze out more and more Ultralisks. One thing that JYJ's got going for him is this huge fleet of vessels that can fall apart with just a single plague and some mutas, but JYJ's been doing a pretty good job of keeping the majority of those vessels alive despite the plagues and the mutas coming in. So far it looks like this could be JYJ's game if he can just somehow stop Queen from running away with it with these gases. But like we said, now Queen's starting to take more and more of these gas expansions in a much more rapid succession, so we'll be in a much better position with his gas to gas ratio with JYJ. JYJ going to be starting to be mined out, and all these bases now being reduced to just one base worth of economy as well soon. So it looks like it could be Queen's game going forward. It's just that right now JYJ has so many vessels, so it could be really tough for Queen to win from here.
JYJ being relentless with building these vessels. He's lost so many this game, but he just will not stop making more and more and more. Coming forward here, he's going to try and get a Irradiate, but great job with the Scourge to shut that down. He's got a couple Ultras here at the bottom left. He's got the Nidus. I'm not sure if it's connected yet. He really needs to keep this base alive, save this base. A few more of these vessels are going to go down. I'm surprised that we haven't seen any battle cruisers this game. I feel like it would be very strong, and the number of vessels now is at a point where adding on more is probably not going to help you out too much. A attack here into the upper right, one Ultra, not going to be enough to hold that off. He needs to send more reinforcements up to that area. The Nidus is going to go down here in the bottom left as well. Oh no, only one Ultra popped out. So this base is going to die 100%, and we're getting more pressure into the top right as well. This base is going to be shut down. Where is JYJ at with his minerals? I think he's mined out in the main and natural.
Yeah, he just had to lift off 9 o'clock as well with this Ling counterattack, so both players in a bit of a weird situation right now. There is quite a few siege tanks for JYJ, but yeah, it's really tough to call. He's also doing a lot of damage to Queen in the top right as well. He did a nice little eraser trick on those drones and cleaned up that mineral line as well. There was no burrow or anything to deal with that. So yeah, Queen has kind of dried up in his economy now a lot as well. There are some drones coming back up to this top right base to resaturate that. Both players in a bit of a state of disarray in terms of their economy. It's kind of a crazy game we've got here. JYJ now going to be starting to land this 9 o'clock to get back up to 2 base worth of production, but he's going to be mined out in his natural third soon, so going to be reduced back down to 1 base worth of economy yet again in the coming minutes. It's kind of a weird game to call right now.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a crazy one, guys. The final game of the night is turning out to be a doozy here. Another great plague on all of these vessels, but we've really halted Hydralisk production in this game. No more Hydras have been popping out, so we're not going to see easy pickoffs on these vessels. He's going to have to continue to produce Scourge. Maybe a Mutalisk or two would be a good idea to just cut down a large group of these vessels at the same time. Ling counterattacks, once again, these Ling counterattacks have been keeping Queen alive for kind of an extraordinary amount of time, just keeping JYJ back. There's no defense in the top right, though, and a lot of the gases are now mined out. We're at 20 minutes in. At least the main and natural, maybe the third base as well, is out of gas. So this is struggle right now for Queen. He has the fourth, he has the fifth, which should be mining efficiently here, but he's not really able to produce the mass of Ultra that he was earlier. Tanks are set up at that third or fourth base for JYJ. He's holding on to all these different locations, and he's coming across the map to irradiate everything. Nice job targeting the undematrixed science vessel there. There's still so many vessels, and even when this game gets into like a low money situation with very, very few bases remaining, these vessels are going to continue to pay for themselves and continue to give JYJ an advantage here. This is a lot of Marines moving up towards the top right. Is Queen going to be able to hold on?
It's going to be tough to say. I mean, there's so many vessels still. He can just keep irradiating the Defilers over and over again. There is a Defiler coming up to this 12 o'clock area to help deal with that, but already being irradiated, so it won't be able to come all the way into that expansion to lay down the Dark Swarm. So now the Marines can just run past this Dark Swarm and get all the way in top of that hatchery as well. So probably will kill this expansion as a result. A D-Matrix down on these Marines as well, soaking up the majority of that damage from the Ultra Link coming in from the southern threshold as well. Some irradiates also coming down onto those Ultras to soften them up, but a lot of the vessels are going down to the Scourge coming in and trickling in from the lava to the south, so it's going to be reducing that vessel count over and over again. But now Queen down to 69 supply, 65 supply, and dwindling, so is at breaking point here right now. And if he loses this expansion, I don't know how he's going to recover. He does have an expansion coming up at 6, another base being built in the bottom left, but it's a little bit too little too late. If he keeps getting cracked open like this, I don't know how he's going to keep trading cost efficiently with JYJ, although JYJ is only on 1 base worth of economy right now, so it's really close down to the wire game. But JYJ has the more potent army at the moment, but he is killing the space in the bottom left, so it looks like JYJ can take this game as long as he can just keep the pressure on.
Keeping the pressure on here very, very well. I don't think the Queen's going to be able to stabilize here. He's got this gas running right now. His minerals and gas are very, very low, though. Tanks are being sent forward. JYJ, the pressure is off of him right now. He's losing more science vessels, though. The number of science vessels that have gone down in the last minute or so is kind of insane. We could see Defiler holding on for quite a long time down here in the bottom part of the map. A great play can also change the fates here, but Ultra coming in. I don't see a Defiler with this army, but he's going to get on top of a lot of this. A ton of these tanks are going to go down, but look at that. D-Matrix on the tank. The Marines are positioned behind them, and he's going to get down here and I think shut down this base. Queen, he's just about dried up. Nothing left. 62 supply to 111, and JYJ moves down to the bottom center. He kills this hatchery, and that is it, man. There's nothing left for Queen here.
Yeah, it's pretty much all she wrote for Queen. Down to 40 supply. It's no longer a tenable position. You can't really hold on as Zerg. With 60 to 70 supply, with good chokes to hold, you can survive against Terran for quite for quite like an exponential amount of time. But unfortunately, at this late game of phase, there's just no way you can keep going as Queen. He's going to become more and more dried up as time goes on. There might be some small skirmishes he can do here and there to maybe buy some time while sneaking out an expansion. But the problem is against a player of JYJ's caliber, he's just going to be scanning the map constantly, always checking for bases going up. You're just not going to catch him unawares like that and be able to get away with just making an expansion for free. So he's going to be really on top of everything from here on out and make sure he secures the win. There's just no way that Queen's going to be able to get any kind of an edge in this game going forward. There's no way any base can come up unscouted from him. So it's going to be really tough for Queen, I think, to win this game from here. I think it's almost like a 0.5% chance of winning, even if he played his best game of his life.
The scrappiness of JYJ in this game, really, really impressive. He's constantly fighting, constantly trading with the Zerg player and beating him down slowly over time. Ultraless coming from both sides here. Actually, a pretty decent surround of Ultra. This is everything that Queen has left, though. He's going to try and get the best connections possible, microing each of these units to his absolutely microing his heart out right now against this, but there's another group of Marine and Medic coming up. Firebats in large number going to be pushing all of this back, and yeah, I think Queen has realized that he's just not going to be able to hold on. He's trying his absolute best to get the victory for his Zerg brethren, but the Firebats burning down these Ultras will be taking out this base, and JYJ taking it home here. The bell has rung. The game is over. Queen taps out, and JYJ takes it home for the Terran race. All right.
Gets the clapper. Like some Zerg
coveted.
barbecue, man, at the end.
Yeah. The coveted clapper. Let me just get the score screen here. You can think about what you want to talk about.
Okay, okay. Some pretty crazy games.
All right. What are we talking about?
Well, we should basically talk about Terran's representation. So we've had like Sark kind of explode in the scene recently, giving a strong representation of Terran, and they're also kind of pushing ahead in points right now, doing pretty good. Bit of a lackluster performance from Zerg. I mean, they're playing well, but I still don't think they're playing up to their caliber. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I guess I could agree with that. It's a new map pool, so everyone's a little bit not used to playing on these maps. There's going to be some mistakes.
There's definitely teething issues I think we should address.
And generally, I feel like Terran is the weakest on new maps because they have a lot of defensive things to think about. There's a lot of like timings that are different on new maps that need to be figured out. But Terran is already doing really, really well this season. So grabbing 2 wins in a row, that's impressive. But yeah, I'm just I'm surprised that they're doing so well here already.
Yeah. So what do you
I don't
want?
feel like the maps are Terran favored.
No. I haven't really analyzed the maps too much though as well, so it's hard for me to say about that. I'd have to see more games on them. Yeah, one of the bizarre. What was that map with the high ground that's like right next
Tempest.
to? Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Like that's a bit of a weird direction for them to go in map making wise. Because you literally have to make like we saw he had to make a sunken just to defend his gas up there. It was that serious of an issue.
Yeah,
So you can even just drop vultures up there is annoying enough because it's right next to the gas, so you can even like snipe the drones from the high ground with even non-tank units.
Yeah, it's rough. Drop play is gonna be so popular on that map. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Just like any map with a high ground over your natural. I would not want to be playing that on ladder. That would be so annoying.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know. I was thinking about mentioning like why the cast is late, but maybe I'll just let it slide.
Wait, sorry, say that again. The cast is late, but maybe you'll let it slide.
Yeah, maybe I'll just I've already talked about it on Discord, and I'll just just drop the cast and forget about it.
Yeah, just drop it.
All right.
I would say if it happened again, you should say something, but just this one-off
Right.
with that issue, like that is, I would say just
No
leave
big
it.
deal.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Just a brief little wrap up.
Okay, brief wrap up. All right, here we are to wrap up with the point rankings. As you can see, Terran taking the lead now here over Protoss and Zerg, but still a very tight formation here in week number 3. A lot of room to move for all sides here with still 5 more weeks remaining in the season. Could have some upsets. We could have some positional changes here. It all remains to be seen, but let's talk a little bit about the Terran on these new maps first.
Yeah, so we got like Tempest with this high ground over the gas. As we saw earlier, the Zerg player was kind of forced to make a sunken just to defend that gas. Not only are you worried about the siege tanks on the high ground, like in the early days of Lost Temple, but it's even close enough to the cliff that vultures could snipe the drones while they're mining the gas as well. Really an unfortunate position for, like, say, Zergs to have to deal with something like that. So I'm not too sure how I feel about some of these maps in terms of that, but none of them really seem too Terran favored overall, I don't think. So we'll have to analyze the games a bit more going forward. But it looks like with the likes of Sark, the way he's been playing recently, the Terrans look quite strong in this KCM season going forward, because they've got a really strong player in Sark, at least in the most recent weeks. If he continues that kind of trend going forward, they've got another powerful tool in their arsenal on some of these newer maps. They, like you say, are kind of weaker to Terran in the earlier stages, but once they start to figure out these maps more in the coming weeks, I feel like they're going to just skyrocket on this board potentially.
Yeah, generally speaking, Terran tends to be the weakest on newer maps just because there are so many timings and defensive things to figure out, building positionings and that sort of thing, but they're already dominating here on these in this fresh map pool, so it's a little bit worrisome. I'm not sure how it's going to be going forward, if that was just kind of a one-off week for Sok where he just kind of went into God mode there and carried the Terran squad, but or if he's going to continue to put up numbers like he did in week number 2. But it is a little troubling here. We'll see how Terran does going forward. There may be some changes to the map pool, maybe some last minute balances. I probably would like to see the high ground over the natural and Tempest taken out. It's kind of a return to an old style of map making that I'm not in favor of, but that remains to be seen. We'll see how the map makers and the tournament organizers here in both KCM and ASL decide to change things up, because there is obviously changes that are made to maps depending on how they play out in the first few weeks. At least up until the ASL starts, we can still see some of those changes. So this is a good testing ground for them. We're getting some good information. We're getting those games in to figure out what the balance of these new maps is going to be, and then we'll see changes going forward. But that's all for Terran. What about Zerg, man? Zerg has been struggling here. I feel like not performing totally at their best.
Right, yeah. They definitely seem to be a little bit lackluster in their performance. That's not to say that these aren't good players. There certainly are good players, and they certainly are showing us good games, but these are very good Zerg players, and they've not been showing us their A-game by any stretch of the word. So, yeah, a little bit unfortunate in that regard. I really did expect a much stronger showing here, especially from Queen. I feel like he could have maybe taken that game in the end there. little bit uncharacteristic of him to let that one slip through his fingers. I feel is really amateur mistakes from him as well. Like I can't believe he was only trying to expand with one hatchery at a time when he had like 1,000 minerals in the bank. It's like, just double expand. Like there's just no reason not to double expand, or at least defend the expansion that you're only expanding to. Like do one or the other. You can't do neither of those things because you're just going to put yourself into a devastating position against any Terran that's even remotely competent, and someone of his caliber is definitely competent. So big blunder from Queen there. Would have liked to see a much more solid performance from him, but besides that, maybe there is some still glimmer of hope here for Zergs. It is still very tight on the board, like you said earlier. They're all still quite in the pack together, still in the running for it going forward. So over the coming weeks could stabilize and get ahead of Protoss at least, maybe going forward. So still have some hope here for Zerg.
Yeah, we saw Protoss start off very, very strong in the season, starting to kind of fizzle out a little bit here. We saw YSC last week kind of bring things back and give us a glimmer of hope, but this week getting taken down and losing first, not able to put any points on the board. Hopefully we'll see that turn around. But who do they need to bring out? I feel like they need to bring Bisu back into this lineup if they want to stand a chance of taking another win here in KCM.
Maybe, although they might not pick Bisu if they're not having much issue with Zerg is the only thing. If Protoss have like being a lot more stable in their showing against Zerg recently, there's less reason to bring Bisu out. So they're only really going to be worried about bringing Bisu out if they have any issues with the Zerg lineup. And Zerg, like we just said, haven't really been performing as of late. So until Zerg starts showing a much stronger presence, I feel that we might not be seeing Bisu too much.
All right. With that, guys, week number 3 is over. Thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you for co-casting with me as well, Shun. I know it's been a little bit hectic this week, but we've got it done. We're ready to release, and we will get this out to you as soon as possible. And we'll see you guys for the next week of KCM. Oh man, it's so hard to close out. What am I gonna say? All right, I can edit this. What should I say to close?
You need like a catchphrase type thing where you say more or less the same thing every single time. I'm not saying say this, but something like, "All right, guys, that's all for now, and I'll see you guys next time." You say your own version of that. You know what I mean? You have like your own kind of like stylistic outro where you kind of say more or less the same thing each time. So you've got that like go-to wrap up, and people can kind of like identify with that, and it's part of your routine.
Right. I don't know if you've seen any of my recent casts. I've been kind of doing that for my like ladder casts. I've been calling it like the daily dose of Brood War, and then I kind of wrap up. This has been your daily dose of Brood War, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. That type of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's hard with KCM, I guess.
All right, then you just say this. You say, "All right, guys, that's been your weekly dose of Brood War, and I'll see you guys next time." You just spin it. You just spin it. You say weekly instead of daily. There you go.
All right. This has been your weekly dose of KCM, and I'll see you guys. Oh no, what should I say?
That's good too. No, that's good too. Weekly dose of KCM is good too. Either or, it's interchangeable. Just think of it as interchangeable. So that's fine too.
All right, guys, this has been your weekly dose of KCM, and I'll see you guys next time.
Perfect. Professional.
Okay. All right, we'll edit that in.
Jimmy says, "Lol, saying please set us free already." All right, guys. Thanks for tuning into the stream. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always, to cast with your boy SaiyanSC, because he's a cool guy and all that, you know. And now living in Tokyo, it's very cool, isn't it? We can all be envious and jealous of that. He's living his best life right now, and we're going to be back next week with more of that. Saying any closing statements to the stream?
Oh, thanks for hanging out, guys. Getting a peek behind the curtain It's nice having some questions and some comments in the middle of the stream. It's fun, and definitely come check out the channel if you haven't seen the other ladder casts as well. I've been doing a ton lately.
That's saying KCM on YouTube. Please check him out. Subscribe. Check out his content. Not just KCM, guys. There is also lots of ladder games and other juicy Brood War content for you to digest at your leisurely time. So please go and check that out. And we're going to be wrapping up here, Saiyan. So thanks for casting, my guy, and I had a good time with you today.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm gonna go and put this one together, and I hope you have a great stream, dude.
Oh, I'm probably going to be ending it here, but thank you very
Oh,
much.
okay.
I appreciate you so much, and we'll catch up again soon.
All right, catch you later.
Take it easy, buddy. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. I've been Jean with SaiyanSC, bringing you some KCM action. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. It's been awesome having you. We'll be again next week for more brutal action. So hopefully see you again at that time. Have a great evening and the rest of your day. Love you so very much.